inform the president of my intention.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the presidential candidate of our party.
APC, anywhere you go, as well as you.
Tinubu Bola Ahmed of the APC, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
Like many rare gems embedded within the grit of sand and dust, but sure to take position in the lofty halls of recognition, the promising star of Bola Ahmed Tinubu sets its course early in life to form a foundation solid enough to face realities of life and utilize opportunities on the undulating road to destiny. Young Bola aimed at the best of education. Scaling the obstacles of humble background, he found his way to the United States of America. His promise began to manifest early, flying high at the Richard Daley College in Chicago, making the honors list. In 1997, he secured transfer to the Chicago State University, Illinois, graduating with honors in Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration with his major in accounting. A freshly equipped young accountant, he was primed to chart a path in his chosen career, and so began his professional practice with Deloitte and Touche.
As a young expert in finance, he graduated to to work with a firm of auditors. Unlike some of us who went straight to work for a company, I work for another company, but he worked for a firm of auditors. And when you are working for a firm of auditors, you can be made to work in the hospital as an auditor. You can leave the hospital to be made to work with another company. You can leave that place to be made to work with a construction company. So as a result of that, he was not an ordinary accountant of one company. He was trained to become an accountant of numerous types of organizations. That expanded his mind. That expanded his horizon. That made him more brilliant than many people of his age.
Having broadened his knowledge and experience in accounting and auditing across other notable organizations, including auditing firms, Procter & Gamble, First National Bank of Chicago, among others, he returned to Nigeria to join oil giants ExxonMobil.
When Ashwaju came from the US and expressed interest to work with us, we were impressed with his scholastic records, especially the fact that he was top of his class in Chicago. He was a very visionary leader, the way I saw him during the interview. Because even right from the onset, he had seen himself as reaching the topmost of his career in the mobile hierarchy. He's a person of strong, very high and strong achievement motivation, and always striving for the best. He demonstrated a lot of intelligence, sagacity, as well as team spirit.
Here, Tinubu rose and became the treasurer of a multinational oil company.
So when the position of treasurer became open in mobile, it was very clear to everybody that Ashwaju would be a best fit for that position because of the work he did in the audit function. And at that time, we were embarking on a very big project that is building the mobile headquarters in Lekki, and we had to arrange for the financing. He was heavily involved in that aspect. And through some of his financial engineering techniques, we were able to find the funds, or source for funds, with minimal interest rates to put on the edifice that was not only the best in Nigeria at that time, but the best corporate headquarters in West Africa sub-region.
Now, one would have thought, with the perks and luxuries accompanying a top position like this, Tinubu would be content, but instead, he was poured to reach for the zenith. Politics was his forte, and he was determined to make his mark.
Well, it was with mixed feelings. We had our misgivings about his living. He didn't strike me as a politician then, and didn't strike any one of us. But at the same time, we saw the upside of it, service to the nation.
Leaving certainty for uncertainty worried his close associates. They believed he was great at crunching numbers, but feared he just might be missing some digits.
He was doing well, a treasurer in an international organization like Mobil. So he said, Daddy, me first join politics. My late husband said, what are you talking about? I said, Bola, do you know the old parable says politics is a dirty game? He said, yes, Alaja, I know.
Instead, the bespectacled tactician considered every variable. His impact on politics was instantaneous. 1992, Bola Tinubu successfully navigated the murky waters of politics. His prize was the Lagos West senatorial seat on the platform of a Social Democratic Party, SDP.
MKO, Kidibe, SDP, progress.
Bola Tinubu might have been the new kid on the political block, but what he lacked in experience in politics, he made up for in abundance with his astuteness in accounting. In no time, he made his impact felt as he became the chairman of the Senate Committee on Banking, Finance and Appropriation. Sadly, his stint was short-lived, much as the dream of a nation when the military swept aside the people's hope and mandate won by Moshood Kashimawo Abiola in the June 12, 1993 presidential election. Many fought to restore this hope, not least of all Bola Tinubu, who alongside others formed the National Democratic Coalition, NADECO, a near-suicidal endeavor that pitched him against the men in khaki.
If we look at the history of democratic governance in this country, we'll have to give a pass mark to NADECO. Of course, there are other social groups that also contributed to making sure that democracy, is installed in this country. NADECO was, let me put it this way, a child of circumstance. A child of circumstance in the sense that if the election of Chief MKO Abiola in 1993 had not been annulled, NADECO would not have come into being. It came and filled a void that was lacking because, the NRC and SDP, parties that Babangida also, created, they went into oblivion at that point in time.
The coalition grew in strength. A David certainly had come to battle with a monstrous Goliath. While some paid the ultimate prize, other pro-democracy voices like Tinubu were banished into exile.
Some of them, how they even managed to escape from this country. Because when Abacha took over, he was hunting, more or less, virtually hunting those who, came up with the idea of restoration of democratic politics in this country. A number of them had to go into exile.
Out of the blues, reprieve came with the death of General Sani Abacha, an opportunity to start the democratic journey afresh. Starry-eyed, Tinubu left the shores of Nigeria, but on his return in 1998, a more determined man returned. Lagos was the playground. It was time to unmask the masquerade who had long been planning his dance moves.
After a while, he said, look, don't let daddy know. I'm still going back to politics. All right. If you are going, what do you want to become? What do you want to do there? He said, maybe I will go back as a senator again. One of the children said, no, Uncle Bola, you are not going back as a senator. You are going to become the governor of Lagos State.
Bola Tinubu emerged governor of Lagos at the inception of the Fourth Republic. An event significant not only because of the caliber of person taking office, but also the monumental strides that would soon follow.
No place like Lagos, no place like Lagos. Beautiful city.
Nigeria's commercial nerve center had found its driver. The man in the saddle, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, took an already mega city and transformed it into Africa's socio-economic and political hub.
The government of Lagos State is the second highest employer of labor in the country after the federal government. It's a mini Nigeria, as we all know, and very complex, not in terms of the population, the mix and the size, but infrastructural issues. The influx of Nigerians into Lagos is based on a certain thinking that the streets of Lagos is laced with gold. And so you have millions, hundreds of thousands, on a weekly basis coming in. Jobs, the impact on infrastructure. You have to measure the size of a population with the services, and security is uppermost. Always, when you have scarcity of resources and you have men and women, people looking for jobs which are not necessarily there, what happens? Crime. They move towards crime.
The former nation's capital takes the lead in infrastructure development, whose foundations were laid by previous leaders of the state. The first and only intra-city light rail service is in Lagos State. The landmark project is as a result of long-term plan birthed by previous leaders. Today, it has become a reality. The plan was not only adopted, but it was also adapted and upgraded from 1 to 7 light rail projects in the 25-year development plan set in motion by Tinubu's administration.
Our mass transit program is on course. The metro line is being discussed already. We have attracted the interest of World Bank once again. We think we are evaluating between the light rail that is less disruptive and destructive to the right of way. We are looking at this corridor of the existing railway track to really, according to the study already conducted by the World Bank, to take off from west to east and south to north. And then we can now support some other areas either with metro or mass transit system.
Mr. President, sir, Mr. Governor, ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching the National Theatre Station now.
Thanks to successive administrations, today the project is coming to fruition with its first batch called Blue Rail, delivered by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu.
You know Bola Tinubu, the Jagaban of Nigeria, the city boy of Lagos, the Jagaban of Nigeria. You know, I have tamed the Atlantic Atlantic tamed in Lagos.
A co-Atlantic city, initially seen as an ambitious project, is the result of a positivity foreseen in the face of adversity by a visionary leader. Within 10 million square meters of land reclaimed from the Atlantic, the initiative meant to serve as solution to an environmental hazard now presents Africa's most valued city in its readiness to take on the world.
The fact is that today, a liability that threatens the entire Victoria land of Lagos has been arrested and is being converted to a great asset of prosperity.
Ashwaju solved many problems, so people give me credit for the BLT. I tell people now that he started BLT, I finished it. And there were so many other things, the Millennium Schools, the intervention, the health missions, of course, the well-documented revenue renaissance. And I remember at that time that we used to celebrate 2 billion naira a month. I remember the day we hit 2 billion naira, we gave a standing ovation to the then Commissioner for Finance, Wale Edu, in cabinet meeting. And from there it became 2.2, and by the time Ashwaju left in 2007, it had reached 7 billion naira. And that's where I took it over and moved it on, and it's continued to progress since then. So, but when you look back, unless you are really unappreciative, ungrateful of the work that those before you had done, that's when you really understand how lucky you are to come at that time. How much more difficult life would have been if that hadn't started and I had to start it. But it's one thing to start, is another thing to inherit it and then consolidate on it. And for me, as governor, he was there. He was a sounding wall for me for over 8 years. I always went to see him to ask his views on things, because I think that if you have somebody who has sat in your chair ahead of you, done some things right and made his own mistakes, and is healthy, is sound, go and consult. That's the shortest cut to success.
Under his watch, Tinubu kept both an eye on the ball and unburdened talents. These acolytes would soon metamorphose into leaders of thought and an action in all strata.
Wherever he sees talent, he doesn't care about where you are coming from. Look at so many people that became his commissioners. Many of those that he groomed, he sent to different states. Some of them became governors, some of them became ministers, some of them still are in government today. He groomed them irrespective of their states of origin. He will groom them and he will say, these people are good Nigerians. Let me groom them for the benefit of Nigeria. So that is why we call him, he will say, I'm fisher of men or fisher of talents.
I was a practicing lawyer in America. I came home to contest for elections. Of course, Ashwaju was a go-to person. There was an incumbent, and Ashwaju opened the doors for me. He hasn't looked back since then, neither have I. So yes, his political benevolence, I have benefited and continue to benefit. And so have many others. People only talk about the political part. His influence discovered people and assisted people and encouraged people both in business, in entertainment, in sports, just name it.
I had gone to his wife. I said, listen, I want to contest elections. And Mrs. Tinubu, our first lady, said, oh, why not? We should quickly see my husband. And then we went to see Ashwaju. And the first thing he said was, oh, really? Look, we need women like you. We'll give you all the support. And he never relented in giving that support. And when I won my elections into parliament, and I was made the chairman of House Committee on Media, it was like, how can an opposition be chairman of House Committee on Media? No, she can't do it. And I was confused myself that how can me, an opposition member, be the spokesperson of the House? At that point in time, when even I was confused, people around me were all naysayers. He came to me and said, no. He wrote officially to say, congratulations, go out there and do a great job. That is leadership. It's somebody who lifts you up, not brings you down.
Yes, I've investigated states. In the case of Lagos, we did. We did very, very well. But even after we left, governments that disagreed with him, they tried many times to get what is it that they could bring him to justice or whatever. Nobody has succeeded up till this morning moment. Even then I was telling people, say, well, if you see we walked in the place and we were unable to get anything, and if you come, you are not likely going to get anything. But it's all part of, I think, how he managed this step. He followed rules and regulations. He understood how government could be run, and he didn't give chance for infractions or disregard for rules and regulations and our laws. And that is why partly he was very successful, more than other governors during that period, 1999 to 2007.
8 years rolled by. For Tinubu, Lagos was done and dusted. It was time for a greater calling.
He started playing the role since about 2004. I was fortunate to be the national chairman of his party, and we were always saying a tribal party or a party of the West alone cannot rule Nigeria. And we started creating bridges. We started with the people of the East. We were working together until 2005, when we met Buhari in London, and we started reassessing him. Immediately we could not agree to work with him, and we started working with Atiku Abubakar. And that's why Atiku Abubakar became the presidential candidate of the Action Congress in 2006. When it didn't go well that way, we thought of going to the young ones. We were trying to to choose between El-Rufai and Nuhu Ribadu. In the end, we chose Nuhu Ribadu as our presidential candidate.
And they thought I was good enough to be supported and be given chance. And they approached me, and I accepted. Ultimately, I stepped down for President Muhammadu Buhari in 2011. The last minute, there was sort of higher discussions and agreement that then the CPC could come and into alliance with the ACN to present one common presidential candidate. A couple of them, as leaders, sat down and told me to step down, and I did. And that was when it was handed over to President Muhammadu Buhari, but with the hope and expectation that ACN will nominate a running mate, yes. But the CPC failed. They couldn't convince the then vice presidential candidate, Pastor Bakare. He refused to step down. And that was why it was not very successful.
The idea, nurtured over the years, was about to find root. At this time, the ruling PDP had a firm grip on power, determined in a drunken state not to relinquish power in 100 years. But an idea was about to shake its very root. Wielded by unrelenting support, stemming from a triangle of oppositions. In 2013, the three biggest opposition parties, the Action Congress of Nigeria, ACN, the Congress for Progressive Change, CPC, and the All Nigerian People's Party, ANPP, joined forces with the new PDP and a faction of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, ABGA, and formed an alliance that till today changed Nigeria's political landscape.
Honestly, singularly, he played the largest role. He played the role of the idea that the parties must come together, and that became APC. So, in doing all these, both in efforts, in idea, and in resources, Bola Ahmed Tinubu played the largest role without thinking about himself.
Tinubu gave it his all, determined to institute a culture of change that brought in President Muhammadu Buhari. All through, he watched by the sidelines, giving support when it mattered the most. And when Buhari's tenure elapsed, it was time to bring forth another candidate that would usher in newer beginnings. And Nigerians with bated breath sought to know who this man of destiny was.
Categorical yes. I've informed the president of my intention. It's a lifelong ambition. I have the confidence, the vision, the capacity to build on the foundation of Mr. President and turn Nigeria better.
Tinubu was not in a one-horse race. He would not have wanted it even if it so happened. For this Democrat, democracy had to be by choice. The competition from within was fierce. So too the intrigues that led to his emergence as the party's candidate of choice.
To the credit, I must say, of the Northern Governors Forum, which I led, we had a meeting and all of us resolved to meet Mr. President to iron out first two things. First, Mr. President, allow this thing to go to the South. We said that and Mr. President accepted. He said, well, that is your decision. You go and bring whoever you want to bring. First, either decide on one person, or if you can, please reduce it to about 5 persons, then go into election. That was what we did. Everybody had different candidates, but because of the Mr. President's admonition, he said, don't carry all of them to the election. As governors, make sure that you agree, reduce the number to at least a manageable 5. We did. We reduced the number to a manageable 5, which we presented to the progressive governors. We all agreed. So that was going to be the pattern of the voting. At the end of the day, those 5 came. Yes, some people from the north still went into the election. They said the decision is not binding on them. That is democracy. We didn't say it is binding on them. Yes, the election was there live. It was very, very free and fair. Everybody voted for the candidate of his choice.
1,670 to 1,271.
Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the presidential candidate of our party.
And quickly, all of us went, collapsed all our structures, agreed with all our candidates to come back and work for Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
One hurdle done with, there remained many more. In the presidential elections that followed, Team Tinubu squared off with 17 other candidates. In this marathon, Tinubu chose a formidable running mate. Kashim Shettima provided the balance.
We supported Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to be the president of Nigeria, not with an obsession to become his running mate. I was obsessed, or we were obsessed, with equity, justice, and fairness. We were obsessed with the unity and progress of the Nigerian nation. The running mate issue came by the way, and it was a humbling experience.
The duo knew what was at stake. To make this dream a reality, they began wooing the electorate. Tinubu Shettima presidential campaign team began the process with a social contract in an 80-page policy document that highlights an 8-point agenda. The manifesto, titled Renewed Hope 2023, Action Plan for a Better Nigeria, prioritizes national security, economy, agriculture, power, oil and gas, transportation and education.
This plan is not only a roadmap to a prosperous future, it serves as a notice to the Nigerian people that if elected, Senator Shettima and I shall work tirelessly to reach that promised future from the moment of the first day that we enter office. It is a pledge that this promise that we put here, this is a promise that you can depend on. Be happy, be determined, be sure that Nigeria, is back, renewed, firm, and solid. Thank you very much.
On November 15th, the campaign train officially took off. High up on the plateau, President Muhammad Buhari himself led the charge.
I cannot say anything out of context, in the sense that the party has taken its decision that Ahmed Bola Tinubu is going to represent us in the next year's election. We only come here to do the normal thing, to show our vivid support for him, and we are going to campaign for him throughout this country.
When the campaign train finally touched down on the last day in Lagos, Team Tinubu Shettima left no one in doubt that this was the team to beat. It had a clear understanding of the realities in the country, and solutions proffered were practical as well as they were realizable.
I promise you, the developmental program of APC will not stop. We are going to reconstruct, re-beautify your roads. We are going to invest in education to all of you youths. 4 years of university education must be 4 years. So you, I made the pledge that incorruptible attitude, incorruptible principle of Muhammadu Buhari will continue. We are not seeking the booty of office to assist for a good life. We are going to prudently manage and increase
your revenue generation capacity. Peace and unity of this country will remain one. We will continue to work with the state to eliminate violence, crimes, and inhumanity to man. Thank you very much. We will revive the economy. We will develop Nigeria throughout the country.
I guarantee you, through the power of the Almighty, we will deliver as many votes of those 3 million votes.
It was a very grueling exercise. I mean, we started the campaign, 5 months, I think, of grueling campaign. And this one man was, and his running mate, Alhaji Kashim Shettima, was committed to not only traversing the length of the country, but to be able to meet different people in the different communities that we went, to be able to gauge the peculiar aspects that really impact them in their different communities. And you could tell from the very beginning that Nigerians really wanted to participate and to be able to ensure that they support whatever candidate they had. So we knew from the beginning, going into this contest with other very viable, very brilliant candidates such as Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and Mr. Peter Obi, that it was going to be a very challenging one. So we did not really take anything for granted. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu committed himself to going to every single state.
CTY, we love you!
And when people ask me, oh, Abuja, how do you do it? You're everywhere. I say, how does he do it? Because after all the rallies, he's coming back to hold meetings till about 4 a.m. the next morning. He barely has time during the day to rest.
When there was no state we didn't go. Even in some states where they said we shouldn't go there, that it was going to be dangerous, we went there. We went to the southeast. When they were saying no go area, they said they declared some of those days no going out. We were there. We made campaigns. Nigerians came out to the campaigns. At the end of the day, I was not surprised that Bola Ahmed Tinubu was elected.
On the day of the polls, the decision that needed to be made by the people was clear. Hand over the nation to a team tried, tested, and trusted, or let parochial sentiments once again determine the trajectory of Nigeria. The people chose the former, and the result was resounding.
That Tinubu Bola Ahmed of the APC, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
The road has been long, yet we walk it. The battle has been hard fought, yet we won it. But more importantly, I realize that I'm just a servant of the larger purpose. You see, this is more than a document of certificate of election confirming the positive outcome of an election. This important document symbolizes our collective democratic attainment and even loftier aspirations. It represents the impending transfer of most sacred duty and trust from one person to another. At its most sublime, this certificate also symbolizes that each of you has the ability to achieve what other believes is impossible for you to achieve.
He's a long distance runner. He succeeds against the odds, as you have seen in how tough the primaries were, how tough his campaign were. Just when there seemed to be no way, he found a way. And as I said before the elections, his opponents underestimate him at their own risk. And before they know it, they would have been defeated. And that is what has happened. I fought in his corner, and I know that there is always a danger and a predisposition to look at his size, to look at his looks, say, what can this man do? But behind those looks is got a very razor-sharp mind. Much older version of himself now than when I worked with him, but the mind is still there. The ability to focus on detail is there, and the resoluteness to pursue a cause that is driven by self-conviction is one of his biggest strengths.
I've been with him through a couple of his own medical examinations. So she's very healthy. It's okay. He has no any disease, as we know. He's not diabetic. He has no blood pressure. All those things, no. And he's not a young man, even though I won't call him an old man. He's 70 years, but he's very, very strong.
Asiwaju is the man in front, now living a dream, a desire, an aspiration coming to fruition, and another significant victory for the progressive family. But for Nigeria, it is a signal to a new dawn, a fusion of anxiety and expectations from the man that promises to renew the hope of Nigerians. The eyes are set on the hills. Perhaps a valley of positivity beckons after crossing it.
I would expect that the next government or the next president will come with this pan-Nigerian agenda. He looks at issues not from the very small corner they have come from. He will look at issues in terms of their, pan-Nigerian relevance and impact on people. We need to actually have a leader who is cosmopolitan. In fact, let me even put it this way, who is ecumenical. It's worldwide, in terms of policies, in terms of, appointments, in terms of, the considerations of the Nigerian people. A government is not just one of making policies, but it's also a government that will ensure that, the people are happy that they are together. Nobody is waging war on the other. Nobody is considering the other to be inferior to the other, and so on and so forth.
So we are expecting Bola Ahmed Tinubu to continue from where Muhammad Buhari will stop, but we want him to triple his effort.
People are disenchanted, people are discouraged, and so the expectations are high. And it's often said that to whom much is given, much is expected. And that's where Asiwaju finds himself today. And I am convinced that he will meet and perhaps even surpass the expectations of Nigerians. He will hit the ground running. He will put round pegs in round holes. He will discover even newer talents than you guys can imagine. He will achieve. He's a smart, intelligent, practical politician, and he will bring his wealth of experience, both in politics, in administration, in financial management, to bear, and those will bear fruits. Nigeria will see a rapid development. It's going to be difficult to crawl from the depth that we have sunken over the years. But if anybody can do it, if anybody can get us out of that abyss that we are in now, that person is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I have no doubt.
The moment he came to politics, he knew what he wanted. without fighting for it. He came to politics maybe some 25 years ago, and he didn't say he wanted to be president. He went to the Senate, he became governor, and he was nurturing, alliances among various people of this country. And he was working on building a political party. After building a political party, he stayed back to work on a manifesto or an idea of how to run a country. And he came forward to say he wanted to rule the country. You will see that the preparation was large. I believe that when he gets there, he shall do well.
It's a great excitement for me that the next president, His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was a former governor of Lagos. Doubly so because I ran his election to governor. He said he has never lost an election. That is true. So he is coming to the hot seat of presidency with this background in facing the challenges and complexities. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that he will prevail over all the challenges that he's going to meet because he comes fully equipped with the experience of the former governor of Lagos State. Wait and see.
Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is an idea whose time has come, and there's virtually nothing anybody can do about it. Against all odds, deliberate campaign of calumny, manipulation of facts, distortions of reality, that did not stop him from winning the elections. And I believe he has the temperament, he has the experience, he has the generosity of spirit, he has the capacity to unify this nation and move us to greater heights.